You're watching the Comrade Spotlight, highlighting comrades of the revolution to overthrow bad music from around the world. Ah! It works. Well, hey everybody, and welcome to Comrade TV. I'm your host, Josh Urban, with the Comrade Spotlight. And first up, we have Comrade Anthony Richardson. Anthony, good to have you here on the show. How you doing this fine evening?
Doing very well. It's kind of cold outside.
Yeah, a little cold. They were calling for the blizzard of doom. I think it is called Winter Storm Pax. They're like naming these things now. It's crazy. Just a couple flakes. Flurry.
Should write a song about that.
We should. What do we call it? Instead of slow blues, we could call it snow blues or something. anyways. So Anthony, who are some of your influences with your music?
I have a lot of influences. More recently, I've been getting into guys like you should know, John Petrucci, and one of my favorite guitarists is Adam Jones. He has a really nice tone, and it's really one of a kind.
Nice.
And I like Steve Morse and Alex Lifeson, that really classic rock kind of feel.
So with a nice sort of a progressive vibe, almost like a neoclassical little tinge in it, I guess. So.
And then of course there's the virtuoso guitarists, Satriani.
Right.
All those
Surfing
guys.
with the alien. I wish I had my sunglasses in here because we got a picture of Anthony jamming on something, and you're wearing like an Under Armour shirt or something. And we call him the Black Joe Satriani, just like him. I think you had your haircut really short. You had the sunglasses on.
And speaking of,
wait a second, I have a picture of that.
yeah. And speaking of neoclassical, me being a cello player,
right,
playing cello since 5th grade, there's a lot of classical influence. Listening. My favorite composer is Tchaikovsky, who's just like Russian madness.
Yes, indeed.
I like that sound. So.
Oh, wonderful sound. Well, I saw Anthony make his debut with the Charles County Youth Orchestra. What was it 3 weeks ago? Something like 2 weeks ago? Something like that. Yeah. And I missed the end of the Brahms, the Academic Festival Overture.
Yeah.
But then I was listening to the radio the other day, and I missed the end of it on the radio again. Like, just something about this piece of music. And then later I heard you play the Carmen Suite, and what was the other one you did?
After that, we did Nimrod, which is it's very beautiful, very slow, kind of
different than the Green Day album.
Yeah, yeah, and it's one of the hardest songs I ever tried to play on cello because it's hard to play that slow and that high up at the same time. And after that, the last song we did was Procession of the Sardar,
right,
by a guy named Ivanov, who that was really his 15 minutes of fame.
Was that the Caucasian Sketches?
I believe that was it, yeah.
I was looking through your music afterwards. I'm like, look at that. I don't know. I just thought it was funny. So, it was a great concert, and we're looking forward to seeing you again. What are you playing next?
As far as orchestra goes, we have district orchestra assessment for my school on it's in a couple of weeks. I'm going to say it's like February 27th, somewhere around there.
Cool.
So that's going to be pretty cool. It's pretty high pressure. It's my first, festival as a high schooler, so.
Right.
Well,
that sounds pretty neat. Well, that brings up my next question. Is so you're obviously you work very hard as a musician. You got you always got a lot of irons in the fire. What are some of your practice strategies and Anthony's ways to get things done? Tell our viewers how you accomplish these things.
Well, by way of just getting better at playing guitar, a lot of it.
Yeah, music just because I don't know, it might sound strange, but a lot of people really wonder like, okay, well, how do I get better? How do you get better?
Well, it's a mix of doing all the exercises that you teach me and just and a lot of it is just kind of messing around,
Interesting. Can you talk more about that? Like when you say messing around, what do you mean by that?
Some of my best some of my favorite songs that I've written have come from just you sit down and you play something, you go, oh wait, that sounds cool, and then it kind of builds off of that. Nice. And every once in a while you'll play something and it'll be like a good blueprint for like maybe an exercise, a figure that you can kind of practice over and over that helps with something like alternate picking or legato or something like that.
Well, that's a really interesting thing. I think that's neat. Thanks for sharing that insight. couple of questions, and then definitely want to hear you play some music. Well, silly question for you: if you were going to have a dinner party with 5 people, living or dead, they could be famous, not famous. Who would you have at the dinner? They could be guitar players. They could be historical figures. Who would be at this dinner party?
Well, the first guy that comes to mind is Edgar Allan Poe.
Yes.
Because I always wanted to have a conversation with him because he just seems like a guy who has a lot to say.
Yes.
You know.
We put him in the corner, give him a drink.
I have a feeling he could just go on and on about all the stuff he's been through. And yeah, and just as far as musicians go, I could be all cliche and be like Bob Dylan or Jimi Hendrix. Probably Steve Vai. Steve Vai just has this really, just kind of almost like I don't even know how to describe. He has a vibe.
Yes, he has definitely a presence. Yes.
He, kind of makes him seem like he would be a cool guy to talk to.
Yes.
And yeah.
Absolutely. So we got Poe, we got Steve Vai. Who else?
Okay, let me think.
Could be comedians. Could be Jesus. It could be Einstein. Could be Ozzy Osbourne.
Ozzy Osbourne would be a very interesting dinner guest.
I just thought Ozzy and Jesus would be great, at the same table, because it would just be interesting to see that dynamic,
Right.
I'm sure. I think we would hit it off.
Yeah. Another guy I would be very interested in meeting. Fortunately, this guy's alive. Mike Portnoy, who is actually a drummer. He's not a guitarist, but he has this work ethic about him that his mind is just constantly spewing creative stuff.
Yes.
And he actually has an OCD where he makes compulsive lists and things of that nature. But he's just a guy who never stops working. He never stops moving. And he has really great. I think it's really easy to learn from somebody like that. So.
And we could have him do the dishes too. We'll probably scrub them real good. Get them back. Yeah, that would be great. Awesome. Oh, well, that's a cool dinner party. Well, Anthony, let's hear. Why don't you play us some here? Right. Give us a. Now, where can people hear some of these compositions if they want to check it out?
Well, right now I'm about to finish up a project that I'm doing on SoundCloud called Riff of the Week. Going to be posting number 40 at some point in the near future.
Very nice.
And you can find that at soundcloud.com/Anthony-R.
Anthony-R. SoundCloud. Check it out, folks.
Yep.
So what are we about to hear?
This is a song that I wrote a long time ago that seems to be kind of a favorite of people who...
Anthony's greatest hits.
Yeah, I guess. But,
absolutely.
My greatest hit. But,
well, no, hits. You see, all you need is 2, and then you can beat the Dream Theater album, right? Hey, look at that.
Right. Should I tell the story behind this?
Yeah, absolutely.
My brother, who is also an aspiring guitarist, just newly in training by the great Josh Sherman.
He may be poking his head.
Yeah, he's going to be in here in a couple of minutes.
Sick.
Before he started taking lessons, he came up to me and he wanted me to tune his guitar, and I was like, all right, okay. Right, so I pick up his guitar, and you know how sometimes you just kind of, you want to see where you are. So I strum his guitar, and I just hear, and I'm like,
what
whoa.
A beautiful sound.
I'm like, what is that?
Getting back to your messing around.
Right, yeah.
You say, hey, do this. This is cool.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And I'm like, did you do this on purpose? And he was like, no. And
I can see him saying that.
And like before I tuned his guitar, I took his, I took his strings and basically transposed their tones onto my guitar. So then I tuned his guitar, and I basically messed around with this tuning for a couple of hours. I wrote this song relatively fast.
Cool. And
this is the product. I actually didn't have a name for this song for a long time, but Miss Cloud.
You can call her Terry. Terry's fine. Very courteous of you.
Yeah.
But yes,
she actually gave me the name for this. It's called Meeting Her.
Give it a shot. Yay! There's Anthony playing Meeting Her. Check it out, soundcloud.com/Anthony-R for Anthony Richardson. Anthony, been great having you on the show. Thanks so much for stopping by.
Nice to be here.
Oh, great to have you here. A nice shirt. Nice shirt, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. One more question for you. What kind of gear do you like to use? What's in your rig?
Well, my most recent guitar that I purchased is it's a JP70. It's actually signed by John Richardson, which was awesome.
Yes,
and,
it is a beautiful guitar.
Yeah, it's a 7-string.
Nice.
And
supposed to be
well,
7.
yeah.
He's always breaking strings, man. He has a 6-string guitar, 5-string guitar. He got a 7-string guitar, 6-string guitar.
Yeah, but I haven't ventured into really building my own tone yet. You know, I've worked with just basic, wah-wah pedals, distortion pedals, but I haven't really started building my specific tone yet.
Guitar.
Aside from that, I really try to keep it pretty simple as far as, effects go and things of that nature. Although I do like playing around with this thing every once in a while.
See what you can cook up. So awesome. Well, Anthony, once again, thank you so much. Great to have you on here. See you next time and continue success. Remember, ladies and gents, soundcloud.com/Anthony-R. Say you saw him here. See ya.